As recently as March 9th of this year, some of us attended one of those most lavish Hollywood premieres of all time at the elegant Chinese theater. There were the typical hordes of paparazzi and screaming fans all trying to catch glimpses of stars on the red carpet. Who were they? Crystal Liu Fei in a gilded gown with a train as long as Princess Diana's at her wedding. Mega action stars Donnie Yen and Jet Li, and our own Tai Ma. This was, of course, the premiere of Disney's live-action version of Mulan. And it was destined to be that elusive goose that laid the golden egg, a movie that had equal appeal in both China and America, the two largest film markets by far. The movie's release would cap a year and a half of truly game-changing film and television. There was the first blockbuster film with an all-Asian cast, Crazy Rich Asians, a Golden Globe Best Actor Award winner and a host in Sandra Oh, and the indie hit The Farewell. Finally, amazingly, precisely a month earlier, there was the Best Picture win for a Korean language film, Parasite. After decades of fighting for greater representation on screen, it seemed we had finally arrived, or at least the door was more widely swung open. A month later, the images of this star-studded red carpet of Mulan have been replaced with something far different. Videos of Asians being yelled at, sometimes knifed or shot at, and often being told to go back to China. Had we suddenly gone from being invisible to too visible? Are we truly now afraid to go out in public and not just because of the virus? Talk about whiplash. So these recent events have obviously affected all of us, whether or not we are directly affected by in our finances or health or time management. For Asians, particularly those of Chinese descent, there is now a whole new other layer of existence that we must contend with, especially as the US and China have the testiest relationship in many decades. For cultural creators like us who are intrinsically bicultural and have often deliberately chosen to blend elements of East and West in our work, we face yet even more challenges. Where does that leave us? Are we agents of change or the victims of it, or both? To explore these questions, I am so pleased to be able to present to you 4 individuals who are in an ideal position to join in this conversation. As a time-saving measure, I will introduce to you each of them via the questions I am posing. Wang Lihong, or Lihong, you have had a unique and stunning career with such an unusual trajectory. Born and raised in Rochester, New York, in an academic family, you have gone on to become arguably China's biggest pop star. You've also worked as an actor with some of the greatest living directors, such as Ang Lee and Michael Mann, and also with stars such as Jackie Chan and Zhang Ziyi and your co-panelist Joan Chen, and not to mention the fact that you've directed your own films. Damn it, Li Hong, what haven't you done? All this while straddling 2 continents, as your music has intentionally blended elements of the East and the West. You are a veritable cultural ambassador, whether you intended to be or not. How are things changing for you now that the 2 countries you've been bridging have a distinctly antagonistic relationship?
I guess I'm on. Was that my cue? Hello,
Yes,
from Taipei. Thank you, Janet, for that gracious introduction. Yeah, this is a very new world that we're living in all of a sudden. And I think coronavirus is creating a new world order, whether we like it or not. Here in Taiwan, we're in about week 16. And we've been successfully, thankfully, been able to flatten the curve and even contain it here. We have only 94 active cases today. But I think for the entertainment industry, we've been hit very hard, not just in film, but also in music. The live touring is pretty much come to a screeching halt. And I don't know the next time we're going to be able to get 30,000 people in the stadium. don't know when that's going to be. But as far as films are concerned, I think it's more important than ever for us writers to start, in quarantine, putting together stories that are going to be important. I think we talk a lot about the importance of media and how the stories are, how the coronavirus story is shaped, and how important it is to make it a fair story. And I think also equally important, it's in the stories we tell, whether it's through music, through movies, through TV shows. I hope that this crisis is not an opportunity wasted, like Van Jones was saying, to create oneness. And for us creators, that opportunity, we say a crisis is a horrible thing to waste. And it's important that it informs our content creation. Because these next couple of years, I think, are going to be the most malleable for creating this new world order and what it's going to look like in the future.
Thank you, Li Hong. Yes, I hope so too. Joan Chen Chung, I first met you in Beijing in 1981. At the time, you were known as Little Flower, Xiaohua, and you were China's most beloved darling, by far, in the movie industry. When you told me you planned to come to the US to pursue acting, I was stunned, frankly, incredulous, and I thought to myself, what a huge mistake she is making, throwing away her goddess status for an extremely uncertain future. I really didn't think your choices were wise. Well, you proved me wrong. You've not only worked with the Uber directors Ang Lee, Bernardo Bertolucci, David Lynch, Oliver Stone, and numerous top Chinese directors. You've directed your own films, both here and in China. You too symbolize the very essence of someone who is inexorably Chinese while still being an international icon. In a recent conversation, you said at this moment in time, you are actually weary from the inevitable political rhetoric that has been swirling around. And you would like to focus instead on, quote, understanding what endures and what's essential in human nature and in the human condition beyond politics. I am really moved by this. I often feel the same way. As I'm scrolling through the news, I think I should be spending more of my precious time reading classic novels or poetry or looking at art, many of the works of which have been created during the most challenging times. So we know that while politics shift and power changes hands, there are always artists who have an undying search for truth and beauty. It is an inexorable part of the artist's journey, never more so during now times of turmoil. What do you find truthful and beautiful these days?
Oh, good question. So I began catching up on old movies and old literature because I did not go to school in the United States, and I think I missed some of the important literature and music. And so in this time, I have been enriching myself. And in the process, I am reminded, like you said, why I came to this country. We pay a very high price to leave our homeland and come to this country. Before I left China, I knew little about America. I was making my last movie in China. It's called Awakening. And the director, Tang Wenji, was the only director back then that had a serial system. And he had records of classical music. And so when I was 19 and I, for the very first time, heard Beethoven and I heard Dvorak, the New World. And that's the America I wanted to go to. That's the America. And flash forward to now, much has changed, but I still have New World. I still play it. And, I'm reminded that in that piece of music, the composer, when he was interviewed, he, being a Czech, but living in America back then when he composed, he was inspired by what he called Negro spirituals, African American spiritual, and Native American music. And he found that there is similarity amongst these three groups: Native American music, African spirituals, and music from Scotland. And to infuse all of it and create that piece of music. And I was in Xi'an when I first heard it. And that oneness that Ben Jones was talking about was happening to me. And so that's the beauty that I have been immersing myself with. What endures? Nature endures. Art endures. Political rhetoric does not endure. And so for us, what can we do? I mean, I heard all the other panelists. I was listening to them and very moved by all the efforts, but I'm not a politician. We're artists. What do? We create art. And this is a time the pause button is pushed, and you can think greater. You can have the solitary moment, peaceful moment, and ask for more. We want to create cinema, not any political messages. We want to, in reading, like, okay, when do I feel represented? I mean, we want to be represented. When do I feel represented? Well, I did feel represented when I was listening to Beethoven. I did feel represented when I was listening to The New World, from a deeper, more profound level where my self-realization takes place. And so I feel that we are one, that I am alive first, on the level of a tree, the same thing. And second, I'm a human. At different times, different stages, we all walked out of Africa. And, Confucius is my ancestor, so is Plato. And it is that I'm just infused with that oneness. And the virus, when this is happening, there's so many at home, the concerts, those lovely family. Yo-Yo Ma started with the concerts, and there is this great positive thing that we must pursue, that beauty, that art, that will endure, So that's how I feel. We want to make movies like Li Hong just said. We have an opportunity now. There are so many wonderful human stories coming out of this COVID-19 disaster, and we have a chance to create cinema, and we want more. We don't want Hollywood just to say, okay, diversity, we'll put you in Star Wars, and then you got Jiang Wen, you got Donnie Yen, the biggest movie stars in China, doing what? There is no distinct three-dimensional development of the character. Is that do I feel represented when I was watching them? No. We ask for more. We want to create art. We want our inner lives to be explored. And Janet Yang, you've done this with Joyla Club. We have, like you said, this movement, this films that we're doing, and we will continue to do and do better. And I also appreciate very much Ben Jones' comment on not calling people out only. We call them up, we inspire them. And what makes us one, we contribute to the humanity. We contribute to humanity. We're part of the humanity. And I think the best representation is contribution. And so that's where my mind is.
It's a very beautiful place for your mind to go and for many of ours to go. I just recently saw something that was a poem that was written as if it were in a children's book, and I'll share it with everybody, but it is, to me, also represents about how we can look back on this time as a moment in time where we can truly heal with 2020 hindsight. So I'm happy to share that with you later. All right, Ty. Again, I don't see anybody, which was a surprise to me, but I know you're there.
See you guys though.
I can see you.
Oh, well, it is supposed to be, and I'm sorry, I can't see.
Use a gallery view.
Oh, well, I don't see anything. Okay, never mind. Ty, you have been gracing our screen for decades, but I have to say, just in recent years, you've really become front and center on screen, the star and not just the sidekick. So we've seen you recently as the father in The Farewell, where you were really an anchor and provided so much comfort to the family. You were in Mulan, quite a different father. You were fierce and proud. And then recently in Tiger Tail on Netflix, a wonderful movie, you're a father who's very wounded and mysterious. In other words, you can pretty much cover all grounds as a father, representing every type possible. So it's no wonder that you've been dubbed everyone's father. When they say everyone, I like to think that they mean truly everyone and not just an Asian father. It would be nice that, in fact, an Asian father could be that to everyone. What do you see as your role as an actor these days during these tumultuous times? And has anything changed for you recently?
Hi, Janet.
Hi.
Can you hear me? You
I
good?
can hear you.
All right. We'll shout out for you because you've been in the front lines for a long time and really speaking up and speaking out for all of us and promoting, what we are doing, in the American and international film industry. So thank you very much for your efforts. I'd like to thank really all the panels that came before us who were so articulate, about, what we're going through today. And in some ways, almost feel unworthy of being part of this conversation. And in some ways, it's true. You know why? Because these are the people that we should really listen to, because they should be our spokespeople. We have another responsibility. Our responsibility is not to create our own work in the sense that we're speaking, in our stream of consciousness. We speak other people's words. That's what we do. We're actors. So really, in essence, I feel that our contributions are a little different. I think, for people who are listening to the panelists before us, that is crucial. Those are the people you want to listen to day in and day out. When you try to listen to us, we are always, presented in a context of the story. So in that sense, you're listening to our characters. And the three characters that you're talking about, it just happen to be fathers. They give us the opportunity to kind of give the world, all these multiple views of who we are. And we are so diverse in so many ways. And I think that's what our job is to continue to give the world all of these, the fact that we are multifaceted, that we bring into the world, all of our angst, our shortcomings, our attributes. I think these are the things that we want to continue to contribute, as an actor. And I think for the longest time, I refused to call myself, and other people say, "Oh, you're an artist." I like to see myself as a practicing artist, because I think ultimately we continue to grow, we continue to learn, we continue to absorb, and from all the people around us, our society, what is happening to us. That is our job. I mean, if you look at, how Joan expresses herself, with so much, emotion and core connectedness. That's what we do. We try to present that. We try to give the world, about how we feel as opposed to what you're looking at, and I think by us doing that, hopefully it will strike a chord. Hopefully that, and I think it has, in recent experiences from the films that I've been involved with. And the most rewarding thing is that we not only move people who look like us, we also move people who are unlike us. So I think these are the contributions that we need to do. And I think it's a noble cause. I think if you, the parents out there of Asian American descent, and have kids who have the inkling of wanting to write, wanting to hold, use the camera to shoot something, or to be in front of the camera, or to produce something, hey, why not support it? Give them the opportunity, because it is a very powerful medium which we're in, film and television. We can really change minds and change perceptions millions at a time in a global scale. So I think, for us to be a part of this is very exciting, and you should be very proud of the children that want to take an interest in the arts, because it is really food for the soul. And we will continue to do that. I think we've made progress. I think we need more progress. And I think the progress should come from quantity, because we need more. The quality, I think we're achieving, slowly but surely. I think you see the work out there that's very exciting, very, really powerful performances, young actors coming up that are so impressive. But now we need more representation in terms of different voices, because we cannot speak for all. So, Asian America is a multicultural, multi-ethnic society. So we really need those voices out there on a continuous basis, because that's the bridge. And that's the oneness that everybody's talking about. Because the more you know about me, the more opportunity to understand me, and the more opportunity for us to be united as one.
That's beautifully said, Ty. Thank you. And a perfect segue, actually, to our final panelist, Kelly Yang. Kelly, you were raised in America, but then moved to Hong Kong as an adult. And it was while you were there that you wrote a YA novel based on your personal experiences as the daughter in an immigrant family. Front Desk quickly shot up to the bestseller list, and you're now a household name for the next generation. What message do you want to impart to them? And what do you see changing in the consciousness of our children who are coming of age at this historic inflection point as compared with us?
Thank you so much. Thanks, Janet, for that amazing introduction and all the panels. I've been just blown away, and just listening to Ty and Joan and Holmes talk about their experiences as a creator. As a creator, I think we have such an opportunity to change the landscape of what it means to grow up Asian American. When I grew up Asian American, I didn't see myself on the covers of books. I didn't see myself in the movies. I didn't see our stories out there the way it is now. And so as a writer, I feel like that's such an amazing opportunity and responsibility to portray our people and to get it right and not shy away from depicting all the things that we're going through. And that's one of the things that I try to do in my work. I have a book coming out, Parachutes, coming out in a couple of weeks, about Chinese that's very much based on my own experience growing up as an immigrant. And a lot of that stuff is very, very raw. And I'm putting that on the page because I want to inspire the next generation to speak up. Your voice is your armor. It's the only thing that we have to protect ourselves. It's the one thing that, America can give us, in a way that is so empowering. And we have to use it. We have to use it so that the next generation can see more of themselves depicted in these stories that are going to collectively change the landscape. So that would be sort of my message to kids is, don't be afraid. Don't hold back. write what you're feeling right now. There's a lot of frustration. There's also a lot of love. There's a lot of fear, but there's also a lot of hope. And we want to put all of that onto the page, onto the screen, so that we go down in history and we can control our own narrative in history.
Very, very well said as well. I am inspired by all of you, and I feel confident that despite some of the challenges we're facing now, we are here to stay. We have a voice, a stronger voice than ever. We have platforms to share that voice. In fact, we've built a lot of those platforms. So good luck to those who say go back to China. Yes, we may want to go back and visit relatives or even to live, but our indelible mark on this country will be felt for many decades to come, hopefully forever. I believe we've run out of time. We've gone over, but I want to thank all of you so much, truly, for your contributions to culture, society, and humanity. Wang Li Hong, Joan Chen.
Thanks for having us. Thank you, Asia Society.
And I'm going to hand this now back to Charlie Coker, who is the Executive Director of Asia Society Southern California.
Janet, thanks so much for a wonderful panel, and thanks to Wang Li Hong and Kelly Wang and Tai Ma and Joan Chen for their amazing discussion about the creative process and about the role of Asian Americans in the creative industry and milieu here in the US. I wanted to thank everybody for an amazing discussion and panels today. Also to Lisa Ling and her amazing panel, and to Tom Nagorski and the very inspiring young folks, as well as the other people we've listened to on our PSAs. We're very proud to have worked hard to not only put on this program, to put on other programs, as Dick mentioned, Dick Dropnik, our chairman, mentioned earlier, about the epidemiology of the disease with Dr. John Wenhong from Shanghai, and also Dr. Fielding from our own UCLA Fielding School of Public Health. And also to have put on an economic seminar a week or so ago with Howard Marks from Oak Tree Capital, and John Emerson from Capital Group, and Li Jinsheng from PAG Group in Hong Kong. So it's really been our goal here to produce the best content we possibly can, to bring information to you from the people who are really in the know. And I hope that that if this kind of programming is important to you and valued by you, that the audience would help us and support us and to work with us and to donate. And just to read out the URL again, if you are interested in donate, it's asiasociety.org/donate-LA. That's a site that's up on an ongoing basis, and we would welcome any financial support or any other support from the public. I would also like to thank our many community collaborative partners. We've had an amazing response from our community here, not only Asia Society Global, but also the American Chamber of Commerce in Shanghai, the Asian Business League of Southern California, the Chinese Chamber of Commerce of Los Angeles, the East Coast Coalition for Tolerance and Non-Discrimination, the Japan American Society, the Los Angeles Urban League, the UCLA Luskin School of Public Affairs, the USC Marshall School of Business IBER MBA program, and the USC US-China Institute. We thank you for all of your help and for working together, because we really believe this is a collaborative process and we need all voices to be in this very important discussion.